Welcome to UNMUZZLED CHAT. You can see Moose here in the background. You guys know the expression, just fake it till you make it? It's how I'm feeling today regarding exhaustion. I literally, hey Moose, just felt like putting my head on this table here or going and laying down, just hit a wall. Sheer exhaustion. But I'm not here to whine and complain. It's just kind of we all deal with our ups and downs. We're mortal beings. And it would be nice to get to the bottom as to why I'm ebbing and flowing so much these last couple weeks and fighting so much nausea. Yeah. So it would be nice to get to the bottom of that. But I sure hope everyone else is having a great week and has some fun plans lined up for this upcoming weekend. With that being said, man, evil isn't taking a break. And not that everything's good and evil. That's where, my goodness, on this platform, I mean, it really encompasses a lot in this mortal life to kind of grasp what could help ensure a better tomorrow, and vastly what's gonna kind of uniquely benefit in a positive way all the vast individuals, like on an individual basis. It's where there's just so many angles to cover here. So I only hope that with time we can effectively achieve that here on UNMUZZLED CHAT. Now, as I'm sitting here networking, trying to, reach out to some of these other patriots that are doing a fantastic job accumulating news and doing real journalism. I just really love this one. It isn't for the greater good, so shut the bleep up, from JP SEARS. And I mean, he just does such a fantastic job. Now, I don't know if I'm going to potentially infringe on any type of copyrights or anything. So, my goodness, I'm new to the game. I'm just trying to figure things out. And, geez, JP, if I step on your toe at all, let me know. But I feel that this is only in a positive sense. I feel like this would be positive traffic, because I'm not here to critique your work. I'm here to align with it. So I guess sometimes it's better to ask for permission or forgiveness versus permission. I don't know. But anyway, I'm gonna play some of this clip here. I love his "We Lie to You" news segments.
We Lie to You News. We got exciting stories for you today about how governments around the world are trying to abolish free speech.
Guys, if we lose free speech, we lose everything in this life. We lose freedoms, everything. And as he goes through, he explains, this has been done before, people.
Monitor and track citizens
so important.
with digital IDs. We'll also tell you about how morally righteous people are acting like immoral idiots. And we'll conclude with all that has to be done to destroy America. Spoiler alert, it's currently being done. One of the Biden administration's dirtiest little secrets has been spilled. And please keep in mind, what you're about to hear about what they're doing is strictly for national defense purposes, where the government is defending itself from its nation's citizens. In exclusive footage that we've obtained by copying it from another news organization that went to the trouble of breaking the story, we've learned that the Biden administration has been tracking and spying on all people who flew into D.C. on January 6, 2021.
Unconstitutionally. It's wild. And mainstream media is obviously, the war machine has been putting a whole different skew on this event.
Even if they didn't go to the Capitol. Take a look.
That you're following January 2021 people. What does that mean?
That means our primary mission is a little group called Quiet Skies. It's a mission called Quiet Skies, that we're following people that flew into the National Capital Region in January 2021. You did not have to go to the Capitol or the rally, and you've been put on a specific list that TSA now has assigned air marshals to follow these people who have not had any type of criminal.
Is it, you hearing this? Is it possible that's what's happening with my cellular device? My emails? Have I made a list? Have you made a list? Guys, this is so tyrannical. Can we just grasp for a moment how dangerous this is? We need to let our voices be heard while they still can be heard. And if you wait till, oh, it's not a big deal till you're personally impacted, that day could be too late. It's now. It's right now. Right here, right now. Let's let our voices be heard.
Criminal investigation. They haven't committed a crime, but yet 3 years later, we're following the same individuals day in and day out.
If that sounds extreme, may we remind you that at least all those U.S. citizens are still being secretly tracked and followed by the government for the offense of committing no crime. And may we remind you of the quote that no tyrant wants you to know. Patriotism is supporting your country all the time, and your government when it deserves it. Meanwhile, the world's most proud sanctuary state, New York, has a governor who believes that what the Biden administration is doing just isn't going far enough. Governor Katie Hochul has announced that she's creating a task force to monitor the social media activity of New York citizens. Take a look.
Also, we're very focused on the data we're collecting from surveillance efforts. What's being said on social media platforms. And we have launched an effort to be able to counter some of the negativity and reach out to people when we see hate speech being spoken about on.
You know how dangerous that is? So they're assuming the position of God is to determine what they're classifying as hate speech. They're sitting here. You got to acknowledge what is going on here. With words and crafty speeches that are essentially putting a pretty bow on tyrannical anti-freedom on behalf of we the people. I mean, you got to see what's happening here.
On online platforms.
Yeah, but don't worry, it's to counter hate speech. And hate speech does need to be countered because hate speech is covered by the First Amendment. Now, because you're a moron, just to be clear, the dreaded hate speech can be defined as anything that runs counter to the state-sponsored narrative. And that's how I keep myself a job. What a progressive policy that the New York governor is putting in place. Which reminds us that New York generated the glorious Patriot Act, which helped grease up the slippery slope that we've been sliding down for over 20 years now.
Yeah.
And the official narrative on the Patriot Act is that it's great. Meanwhile, Ireland looks at that and says, hold my beer. Yeah, all 7 of them. How so? Well, an Irish Green Party senator took the floor to demand we must restrict freedom of speech in order to make people feel safe about their gender identity. Check it out.
When you think about it, all legislation is about the restriction of freedom. That's exactly what we're doing here, is we are restricting freedom, but we're doing it for the common good. You will see throughout our Constitution, yes, you have rights, but they are restricted for the common good.
No.
Everything needs to be balanced. And if your views on other people's identities go to make their lives unsafe, insecure, and cause them such deep discomfort that they cannot live in peace, then I believe that it is our job as legislators to restrict those freedoms for the common good.
Total phony baloney. It's like a hierarchy. It's rules for thee, not for me. It's all one-sided, of course, because it's entirely hypocrisy, like hypocritical. What they're even trying to articulate right there, because it's only one-sided. It's literally insanity, people. We should not be tolerating this. That is evil. What she was just expressing, I don't know how you guys could just sit back and take that as though, oh, wow, because this is being done literally. If we don't let our voices be heard, we will be limited. This will potentially be more tyrannical because they're trying to move it from the effective platforms they've infiltrated to all speech, and then our personal cellular devices. And I mean, it's literally encaging all of us, and we can't cave. We cannot even give them an inch because it will never end.
For the common good. I'm glad she remembered to say that, because otherwise I'd be dumb enough to think restricting freedom was bad. And she's right.
Tell
Abolishing
him,
free speech
JP, tell him.
so that nobody feels insecure about their self-diagnosed gender identity is important. Giving up something real to protect something that's imaginary is for the greater good. Otherwise, insecure people might feel their insecurity. And luckily...
Well said, my man. My hat's off to you. Now, folks, I got this sped up to, I think, 1.5. So he's talking a little faster than norm, but just Getting
Ireland
through
is
it.
already enforcing their new free speech eroding anti-hate speech laws, which have Irish authorities investigating Conor McGregor. His crime? Well, probably many crimes, to be honest. But what the Irish government is investigating him for is hate speech. On social media, Conor spoke out in anger about the 5 children in Ireland who were stabbed by an immigrant. And when we look in our best rainbow-colored legal books, we can confirm that being angry about such a thing does qualify as hate speech because it's not inclusive to the immigrant that did the stabbings. And Elon took a break from controlling everything in the world to chime in, suggesting this could literally happen to you.
I gotta be careful when I sip. I almost spewed everywhere because are you guys listening to this? This is freaking crazy. Yes, pinch me. This is the world we live in. If you find this as repulsive and as disgusting as I do, come join us here. Please. Let's have an authentic conversation about it. I mean, shoot, even if you find this beautiful, let's have a freaking discussion. We could agree to disagree, but I'd love to understand why you feel taking people's freedoms away is a good thing. Well, that'd be very challenging to sit here and seek to understand that one.
You for having a meme on your phone in Ireland. From there, in Israel versus Palestine news, Elon was pictured touring the aftermath of the attacks on Israel with Benjamin Netanyahu. Why was Elon there? Well, we have reports that Elon was probably just looking for some more lithium for his environmentally friendly cars that run on coal-powered electricity, and we don't think he found any, unfortunately. And the American youth, who apparently believe most of what we tell them, are getting pretty pro-Palestine. Here's a trans, non-binary TikToker who started reading the Quran and is thinking about converting to Islam.
Just started reading the Quran, and I am so excited about it. The way that the Quran describes things actually makes sense to me. And also, did you know that Allah is beyond gender?
Chickens for KFC doesn't make sense to chickens, yet this makes sense to he, she, they.
How are we allowing such delusional characters on the front stage, middle stage? Like, my heart genuinely goes out to these individuals for falling for that trap and living out actual in our society as though it's a good thing. They're own immoral perversions. Oh my gosh. Topic for another day.
I wonder which animal has a bigger brain. And over the weekend, pro-Palestine protesters blocked the Manhattan Bridge, preventing traffic flow while chanting for a ceasefire. Now, I haven't checked yet, but them being over 5,000 miles away in a country that is not firing any weapons, I suspect their efforts were very effective. Fair enough. But in contrast, in New Zealand, this is how police handled a pro-Hamas protester. Got him. Let's see that again. Yep, he definitely stopped protesting after that. And in other news about how you're being heavily surveilled for the common good and it'll only get worse if you allow it, here's former Prime Minister of the UK, Tony Blair, talking about the importance of digital IDs for tracking.
This issue to do with the technology and the digital infrastructure, I just want to emphasize how important I think that is. Because in the end, you need the data. You need to know who's been vaccinated and who hasn't been.
Officially.
Wow. No, and no.
I agree with you, Tony. And unofficially, I don't think anybody needs to know about my medical records, sport.
I plead the second. He pulls out I plead the second. Way to go, JP.
Let me see Tony again. Yes, shocking to see that he's at the World Economic Forum while talking about tracking citizens with digital IDs and mandating things. Normally, the WEF only talks about, well, those things. Plus the climate and their green agenda. Speaking of which, nations that follow the WEF's green initiatives are beginning to confiscate land from farmers, as they're doing in the Netherlands. You know, to save the climate. However, a Croatian member of the European Parliament is pushing back against the EU's implementation of the WEF's agenda to, well, stop growing food. Recently, he said this to the EU Parliament.
Jedini pravi cilj ovog zakona je konfiskacija privatnog vlasništva I oduzimanje poljoprivrednog.
Here's the call to action. You just gotta see this for yourself, because I'm not gonna read this fast enough. Not at 1.5. This individual, but he's basically talking about the confiscation of agricultural lands
Privrednog zemljišta poljoprivrednicima.
from
Što ima
farmers,
krajnji cilj, a to
which
je
is their ultimate
nedostupnost
goal.
organske hrane građanima.
Making organic.
Znači, želi se onemogućiti prosječnom građaninu da može jesti normalnu hranu.
The EU is using the climate scam as a pretext to seize agricultural land from farmers with the ultimate goal of creating deliberate food shortages? I'm offended by his words, which means his words are hate speech, which means he should be in jail. Fun fact, communist regimes have a history of creating food shortages for the purpose of thinning the population while putting people in a state of desperation which makes them more compliant. For example, Mao's farmland grab caused 45 million people to starve to death. Stalin's farmland grab caused 3.9 million people to starve to death.
Wow.
Those communist dictators were able to confiscate the farmland because they told citizens it was for the greater good. What makes this different is that the WEF and its members confiscating farmland are telling citizens that they're doing it for the greater good. In both instances, the regimes are doing the same thing while telling citizens the same thing. Therefore, what's happening today is probably different. And finally,
It's probably
America.
different.
U.S. service member Tim Kennedy had this to say about how to destroy the USA. Make art ugly. Well, Hollywood does that.
Actually, I
It's
don't know
probably
why not.
different. And finally, destroying America. U.S. service member Tim Kennedy had
Oh, wow. Interesting.
this to say about how to destroy the USA. Make art ugly. Well, Hollywood does that. Make porn free. I never pay for mine. Make God a joke. Always important for communism to take root. Make food poisonous. Why does Bill Gates put so many ingredients in his fake meat? Make dads optional. Well, masculinity is toxic. Make politicians rich. Well, Nancy Pelosi sets the bar pretty high on this one. Make money worthless. Well, inflation is pretty magical for this.
Yep.
Make news entertainment. Well, we do know if it bleeds, it leads, and here you are watching us. Make men and women compete. Well, there's really no competition when you get down to it. Make kids hate their ancestors. Well, then we're all just a bunch of misogynistic racists. But the good news is that we're currently doing all these things that you need to do to destroy the USA. But of
Wow.
course, the way we're doing these exact same things isn't to destroy America. We're doing it for the common good of all. We know you believe that because thinking that we're actually trying to destroy America while you let it happen is too scary for you to think about. Your obedience during the pandemic proved to us that you don't have that kind of courage. So, it's all for the common good is
Well said, JP. My gosh. Do you have courage, listener? Come on. Oh, but bills and yeah, I get it. I get it. But we got to shift our perspectives and be excited. It just is the way it is. And let's address things. Let's grow a pair. Let's become courageous. Let's do our part. Otherwise, it's all for naught. What does it matter? What are you truly leaving behind for your children and your children's children? And even more importantly, just touching on the spiritual side of things and the spiritual battle at hand. Whether, yeah, if you, especially for the believers, I mean, if you want that acceptance and well done when all is said and done, I mean, isn't that what we're all trying to achieve here? Can't keep our heads buried in the sand and be complicit to just this rampage all around us.
what we're agreeing on, right? That's it for today's news. Everything is going according to plan, and we sincerely appreciate your silence and passivity so it can continue moving along. Now go have yourself some fake meat, medicate yourself, and turn in your gun so you won't be able to stop us even if you try. Good night.
Man, JP. Guys, JP SEARS is a gift. Bless this man. We need to get behind him and others like him. If he's not your cup of tea, that's okay. There's many others. But if you're not seeking different sources, from the podcast realm, from these non-censored platforms, to people in the know, I mean, gotta expand our horizons. Gotta look into things. Well, I appreciate you guys bearing with me today. I'm super tired, but hey, it's all good. I'm gonna try to figure things out. I'm gonna buck up, continue to soldier on here. But really excited. I did have a guest drop out today, but we rescheduled. I think we'll have 8 on, in fact, tomorrow. And yeah, more to come. Help us. Help us help you. Help us get really organized and effective to help improve lives, ensure a better tomorrow. And the only way that's really going to take off here for us is through shares, views, likes, comments. Let's fire things up. Let's do what we can. Let's unite. Let's help each other. Check out Black Eagle Apparel. Put Unmuzzled Chat in the promo code. That's going to help us. It's going to help a man that's also on the front lines fighting on behalf of our freedoms. Thank you so much for your support. I love you guys. And I'm just so excited to do my part. This has been extremely challenging. I think I'm my own worst critic. I have a lot of growth to be had. So thanks for bearing with me. I can't wait till next time. So for now, signing out. Have a lovely evening.